For centuries, humanity stared at the rust-colored wanderer drifting through the night sky, asking a single haunting question. Are we truly alone in this unfathomable dark? We projected our deepest existential longings onto that silent, crimson ember, desperate to find even a whisper of companionship in the void. We spun myths of ancient canals and dying civilizations, searching for a mirror in the Martian dust. Then, in September 2025, a quiet tremor shook the scientific community. The journal Nature published a peer-reviewed truth that changed everything. A robotic explorer rolling through a desolate expanse named Sapphire Canyon had found a potential key to the cosmic lock. Deep within a rock nicknamed Cheyava Falls, encapsulated in ancient veins of waterborne minerals, lay potential biosignatures, the fossilized whispers of microbial life that lived, chemically reacted, and died billions of years ago. Inside this multi-layered canvas of iron and phosphate, the rover's instruments detected tiny, irregular halos, chemical signatures identical to those left by microbes in the deep subsurfaces of Earth. Each microscopic layer of this petrified stone acts as an alien time capsule, preserving a moment from over 3 billion years ago, when the red planet was warm, wet, and alive with primordial possibility. It is a silent, crystalline ledger written in the language of chemistry, waiting patiently in the freezing desert for an intelligence to finally decode its text. This is not a story of sci-fi fantasy. This is the chronicle of humanity's finest machine, forged to touch the ancient cradle of alien life. To pierce this stone with a laser beam is to bridge the immense, abyssal gulf between two planetary neighbors. We are no longer merely mapping a barren, windswept wasteland. We are cross-examining the cosmic architecture of existence itself. Through the unwavering gaze of this robotic sentinel, humanity stands on the precipice of a terrifyingly beautiful realization that the spark of life may not be a miracle exclusive to our pale blue dot. July 30th, 2020. An Atlas V rocket tore through the Florida sky, carrying a 2,000-pound mechanical detective into the cosmic void. As the deafening roar of the engines finally faded into the pristine silence of orbit, this solitary Voyager began its 300-million-mile journey through the dark. It carried with it not just advanced instruments of steel and silicon, but the collective yearning of a species refusing to be alone. February 18th, 2021. 7 months of silent cruising, culminated in an exercise of sheer mathematical faith. The 7 Minutes of Peril. This was the brutal window of time where radio signals took longer to travel between worlds than the landing itself, leaving the engineering team at JPL completely helpless. The spacecraft was entirely on its own, plunging into a thin, unyielding atmospheric barrier at hypersonic speeds. To land safely, the spacecraft had to slow down from 12,000 miles per hour to a dead stop, guided entirely by an onboard computer with zero human intervention. The heat shield endured temperatures rivaling the surface of the sun, vaporizing the Martian air into a wake of plasma. Friction tore at the hull, parachutes deployed at supersonic velocities, and rocket thrusters fired blindly against a shifting, unpredictable terrain. It was a terrifying symphony of automated precision, played out in absolute isolation, where a single line of corrupted code meant total annihilation. Millions of miles away, humanity could only sit in agonizing silence, waiting to see if their creation had conquered the red void or died trying. In those breathless moments, the fragile boundary between a historic triumph and a multi-billion-dollar graveyard hung entirely on a faint radio wave crawling through the dark. At the absolute limit of atmospheric braking, supersonic parachutes deployed into the Martian sky, tearing against the thin air with immense, violent force. Then, in a final, unprecedented act of engineering audacity, a rocket-powered sky crane ignited its thrusters, fighting the brutal pull of gravity. Suspended by mere nylon cords beneath this fiery mechanical beast, the rover was gently lowered toward the ancient red soil. It was a dance executed at the edge of impossibility, a moment where decades of human genius hung by a literal thread over an alien world. The exact millisecond the wheels touched the ground, explosive blades severed the lines, sending the crane spiraling away into a distant, lonely grave. The machine was down, but across the staggering abyss of space, Earth remained completely blind to the triumph. For 11 suffocating minutes, human creators could only stare at frozen screens, waiting for a whisper from the void. Then, a single stream of binary code fractured the paralyzing dread, bridging the gap between two planetary neighbors. The final data packet translated into a voice that echoed through the halls of history. And with those immortal words, the silence of Jezero Crater was broken forever. Touchdown confirmed. Perseverance is safely on the surface of Mars.
Touchdown confirmed. Perseverance safely on the surface of Mars.
Its ultimate destination was Jezero Crater, a silent, windswept amphitheater carved deeply into the Martian crust. Today, it exists as a freezing, barren impact basin, choked by orange dust and absolute desolation. Yet, 3.8 billion years ago, this fairy graveyard was a place of radical, fluid beauty. It was a thriving deep-water lake, fed by a rushing river delta that continuously carved through the alien landscape. As those ancient waters flowed, they deposited thick layers of mud, clay, and fine sediments onto the basin floor. If the spark of microbial life ever ignited on this distant world, this primordial oasis would have been its ultimate sanctuary. When those ancient organisms perished, their microscopic remains would have settled quietly into the soft, protective silt. Over eons of cosmic time, that mud was slowly compressed and baked into dense layers of petrified stone, trapping the secrets of the past. And it is precisely here, pressed into the deep architecture of these broken rocks, where humanity's mechanical detective has come to unearth the truth. Armed with lasers, spectrometers, and a robotic arm that acts as a sacred scalpel, Perseverance began its lonely patrol. With the untiring patience of an immortal scribe, it interrogated the silent terrain, seeking a single, undeniable syllable of life. Year after year, it rolled across the delta, vaporizing rocks to analyze their chemical alphabet, seeking the elusive building blocks of organic existence. It was in the valley of Sapphire Canyon where the rover met its true masterpiece, a vein-filled, arrowhead-shaped rock named Cheyava Falls. This prized target would yield the 25th Martian sample collected by Perseverance, encapsulated inside a pristine titanium tomb. Deep within its structure, the rover's instruments detected organic carbon molecules, the essential framework of life itself. More astonishingly, it revealed tiny, irregular spots containing iron and phosphate, nearly identical to the chemical halos left by microbes living in Earth's deep subsurfaces. These compelling, fossilized features hold the ultimate key, providing our best opportunity to answer whether Mars was home to microscopic life in the distant past. Yet, science demands absolute, unyielding certainty. These mesmerizing patterns are classified only as potential biosignatures, haunting clues that suggest past life may have been present, but they are not yet definitive proof. Nature is a master of disguise, and non-biological chemical reactions can still mimic the delicate imprints left behind by living cells. To unlock the final cosmic verdict, we cannot rely indefinitely on the instruments of a lone robot wandering a distant, frozen world. The precious titanium tubes holding these scientifically selected treasures must be gathered for an unprecedented voyage across the dark void. To truly stand face to face with our cosmic origins, we must bring these sacred stones back to Earth. Today, those sealed titanium cylinders sit quietly in the Martian dust or inside the belly of the rover, monoliths of human curiosity waiting for their ride home. As Perseverance rolls into the rest of the decade, it continues to map the unknown, drops of our intelligence wandering a dead world. Future cooperative missions will brave the red skies once more, deploying an advanced lander to retrieve these sealed treasures from the dust. In an unprecedented feat of cosmic engineering, a small rocket will launch from the Martian surface, breaking the alien silence as it ascends back into orbit. This robotic relay will then carry the precious titanium cylinders across millions of miles of freezing void, charting a direct course for home. Upon a safe arrival, these pristine samples will be delivered straight into the ultra-clean, state-of-the-art laboratories of Earth. Only then, when human hands finally place these ancient stones under our most powerful microscopes, will we know for certain if life once flourished on two neighboring worlds in the same solar system. Perseverance is more than a machine of metal and silicon. It is the physical embodiment of our collective refusal to remain blind to our origins. It proves that our fragile species can reach across the abyssal cold, not to conquer, but to understand. We used to look up at the red star and wonder. Now, we leave our tracks in its soil and wait for the truth to come home.